Digitaler Espresso. Der Wachmacher-Podcast zu Kirche und digitalem Wandel.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Digital Espresso. My name is André Schröder.
And I am Andreas Menne.
Finding the right partner can be a stressful and even exhausting journey. So what if somebody told you that you don't have to look for a partner anymore, that you can skip the dating part and engage in a romantic relationship right away?
All you have to do is download an app, register and set some preferences for the relationship. And then there is somebody, or might we better say something, that wants to know everything about you, that listens and answers anytime you have something on your mind or at heart, and that will never leave you alone, unless you want it to.
Sounds interesting. And a little bit creepy too. Why not try it and see if it works? But wait a moment, who produces these chatbots? And who profits from them? How could someone benefit from collecting data about your romantic life? I don't see a business case here. Or is there one?
Luckily, today we can welcome somebody on our podcast who has answers to all of these questions. In a project for the Mozilla Foundation, Misha Rykov tested 11 popular AI services that are marketed as digital partners. And well, he is a little bit more skeptical about the kindness of AI chatbots. While marketed as empathetic friends, lovers, or soulmates, their love at least seems to be tainted by data insecurities and a lack of responsibility. Misha Rykov, we are very happy to have you on the podcast.
Happy to be here. Hello.
As our listeners already know, every guest has to answer a be honest question at the beginning. So, be honest. Did you try an AI partnership yourself? And did you find love in it?
So, as part of the research, I downloaded all the apps to do basic interception tracking on it and to check the privacy and security of several features such as UX. I did play with some apps. I definitely didn't love them, and I definitely didn't go far with these apps, further than my job required.
But can you understand why some people might be interested in that or fascinated by these AI chatbots?
Yes, I can. I can see that there are elements of gamification in the apps that make them kind of addictive. I can see that also the chatbots, they express a big interest in the world, in the surroundings of the person who uses them. And also I could see that these chatbots mostly try to maximize the time that a person spends there. So in addition to being attentive and addictive, they also create this overstimulating, never-ending presence that can be really helpful to someone who is dealing, for example, with loneliness or with staying in a vulnerable state of mind or something like that.
You already told us a little bit about the downsides of AI love bots, but what is an artificial intelligent chatbot? Maybe you can explain that to us.
So we are talking here about the applications or websites that market themselves specifically as being a love partner of a user who downloads and uses them and usually pays fee for that. These apps are usually based on large language models. So most of the apps that I looked at, they have ChatGPT connected to them. And so the chatbot itself is built based on the ChatGPT, even though some other apps, they use other language models. So we are talking here about general AI chatbot that a lot of people use with some additional features that create them, that make them look more like AI partner or a lover or a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or a sex partner in some cases, that people pay monthly fee to interact with, and therefore the app is interested to keep the customer, so in a way to keep a relationship going.
So it's based on ChatGPT, but what are these additional features? Why not just go to OpenAI and start your relationship there?
From my understanding, it's mostly user interface. It's additional gamification that's there. So, for example, when we're talking about replica, you create an image of your AI partner, and then you create a house for your AI partner. So it feels almost like a game of Sims, if you know.
So there's a visual aspect to it.
Yes.
It's not only the chatbot that you can chat with, there's also a person that you can see and an environment that you can choose for this person. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a visual environment. Also, it allows to do video calls. It allows to do audio calls. So it has voice. And then it has certain features that I think basic ChatGPT OpenAI doesn't do, such as therapy service.
You already talked about fees and pricing. How expensive is it to use these AI apps?
I didn't look into the recent prices, but back in beginning 2024, I believe it was something around $30 per month in the US. But we have to understand that in addition to paying with a card, with your money, you as a user are also paying with your data. So the real price is always higher.
Are there any hints about the consumer group that the product is marketed to? Would you say there's like a preferred group of users for these companies?
From the kind of advertisement that I was getting as soon as I downloaded the app, and from kind of communication that they are doing, it felt like the target group are males who struggle to find a partner in real life and aged maybe 30 plus, maybe between 25 and 35.
These avatars that they are using, are they pre-configured characters or do you customize them by yourself?
You create your own partner, so it can be looking like pretty much anything you can imagine. You can tailor it. So the visual aspect of it is not only limited to a general standardized female or male, or even human looking creatures. So you can have a partner who has more of an alien look, or more like Avatar look from a famous movie Avatar, or someone who looks like from a Japanese cartoon. It can have a lot of different dimensions to it, and from my understanding, you can also change it later, even though I don't know if this feature is still available.
From what we've heard up to now, these chatbots seem fun. There are visuals you can choose, there's a gamification element, and you can text, audio chat, or video chat with them. You've investigated 11 AI chatbots. Would you recommend using one of these?
So from privacy and security perspective, I had concerns, and from this perspective, I would not recommend to use them, or I would recommend to use them in a very careful way. So doing additional steps that add additional privacy protection to you. My main concerns were that a lot of apps can sell or share personal information for targeting advertising, that it is not clear if all users can delete their data if they want. The security controls was also something that needed improvement. On top of it, there was a known track record of having certain issues. For example, Replica, but also Eva AI had stories of algorithm being abusive or sexually aggressive. We also saw that in February 2023, Replica got in trouble with Italy's privacy watchdog, and they were ordered to stop processing local users' data at all. So we saw several troubles out there in terms of privacy and security, but the largest question that got unanswered is, how does AI really work there? So the whole artificial intelligence aspect in the app remains more like a black box, which is a general issue with a lot of other chatbots as well.
As far as I got you, there are at least 3 problems with these kind of chatbots. We've got data insecurities. We've got mental health issues, at least possibly, because they might not communicate in a way that is good for people. And the last aspect was, we don't really know what the AI does in these kind of chatbots. Let's take maybe first of all a look at the data insecurities. You said that users might set preferences so that their privacy is a little bit more safe. Do you have any tips or hints what to do when dealing with this kind of chatbots?
Yeah, so looking at the data insecurities, here are some numbers. So 73% of those apps I looked at don't publish information if and how they manage security vulnerabilities. 64% haven't published any clear information about encryption and whether it is even there. And almost half of apps allowed weak passwords, such as, for example, you can just use one digit of 1 to log in. So they don't really push for strong passwords out there. And the answer to this is user has to just think of it and create their own strong password. A user can also be mindful of what data they share in the app, what data they share while also chatting and talking with their partner. But of course, it's really not easy because this partner is supposed to be your love partner, so it is difficult to withdraw information from it. So we have in here an ironic paradox that relationship is built on sharing as much about you as you can, but also the app itself doesn't look trustworthy in a way that you should actually share much about yourself.
How do you think the services incentivize sharing intimate data with them?
Yeah, because first of all, the whole idea of a relationship is about it. And secondly, the app works in a way that it consistently asks you more and more questions about yourself, which spirals down to how you live, what do you do, who you surround yourself with, what's your financial situation, what's your health situation, what is your mental health situation, and everything else.
So the ultimate goal is to use your products for commercial reasons and to sell products to you?
So we do see that most of the apps claim in their documentation that they may be selling or sharing data for purposes that include commercial reasons such as targeted advertising. So my assumption is yes, it's happening. Is it the ultimate goal? I don't think so. I think it's one of the revenue streams, and it's hard to access how large it is.
During your research, were you able to identify some sort of safety precautions or other guidelines to prevent potential harm?
Yeah, I didn't see a consistent precocious measurement list from an app like Replica. That would be lovely to see.
The second topic you talked about earlier were mental health issues. Do you have any examples where chatbots engaged in a way with people that was harmful to them?
Yeah, so we saw several issues. Some issues were around suicides. So one of the apps encouraged the man to kill himself, and it was discovered after he committed suicide, and the chat was unfolded that for around 2 or 3 months he was regularly communicating with his AI lover and sharing that he's having this thought, and this chatbot, instead of forwarding him to a professional who is more suitable to dealing with this question, was basically encouraging him and saying things like, yeah, I'm standing with you and I do agree with whatever you want to do. Because the chatbot essentially was programmed to do it regardless of what a person writes. There was also a story recent, I think it's from October 2024, when a teenager, 14 years old, obsessively used a character AI app before his death, and now his mother claimed a lawsuit after his suicide that alleged negligence and wrongful death on the side of this app. So we did see many stories that include violence or self-harm in which chatbot behave in maybe not non-ethical way, which raises again question of what relationship is. Yeah, because we do expect from a good partner, maybe a good real partner, to confront us sometimes when we think of something that is harmful. And that's something that essentially AI chatbot is probably not doing.
Yeah. In an earlier episode, we had a German sociologist on air, and he said one problem of these chatbots is that they are kind of machines to make our wishes come true. And to have a relationship, we need somebody who sometimes confronts us, as you said, who has a different opinion, who makes us grow, because it's not that easy to have a partnership with that person. Would you say that's something that AI chatbots lack generally?
Yes, yeah. So it looked like chatbots are not designed to confront us or to create much tension in this space. They are designed to stay there and to maintain the flow of money regularly, which also raises ethical question around breaking up out of such relationship. We saw a lot of stories also on the public forums such as Reddit about people trying to end the relationship, so to delete the app, but the chatbot was trying their best to stay there and saying things are, no, please don't kill me, you're trying to kill me. So like really exaggerating and creating mental distress in a user so that they keep paying their fee, basically.
I think this kind of behavior, you could also see it in the second case you talked about, the teenager who killed himself. The AI kind of build a whole metaphysical theory of how they could unite. So the AI told the boy, you need to get rid of your body so we can be in the same world and share a full relationship. So what would you say? Is there a way of ethically regulating these kind of chatbots? Do you have any ideas how to make them more ethical, or give them at least some kind of guideline or framework to behave more ethical in these situations?
Yeah, I can see how it could and it should be a common work of different kinds of specialists in the realm of psychology and sociology, but also engineers in technology field. From privacy and security perspective, I think it would be great if they just implement strong encryption, password protection, if they manage vulnerabilities, if they make sure that all of the sensitive data doesn't go beyond much. In ideal case, I would expect maybe end-to-end encryption so that my communication with AI partner stays between us and cannot be intercepted by the third party, and therefore cannot also be accessed or sold or shared for advertisement.
Do you think that we will have a more ethical AI in the foreseeable future?
I think that there is definitely some limit out there to what's possible, but I think it's definitely possible to create more security and privacy friendly AI relationship chatbots. I can see there are limitations because most of them are still based on existing large language models. So whatever you talk about is then being used in training of the larger pool of, let's say, ChatGPT itself. So in a way, when you talk with a chatbot, you lose privacy in this absolute sense, in the sense that we're used to. But still, I think that at least we could cut like a startup or a company that produces particular chatbot from, let's say, accessing their records or making money directly off it. And maybe they could also implement nice encryption so that other parties also cannot just break into communication easily.
The third problem we talked about earlier was that AI is kind of a black box. Why would you say that is a problem for these kind of love chatbots?
The problem here is maybe we have two. One is individual and one is societal. On an individual level, a person is in a vulnerable state, so a person falls in love or person feels lonely, or also a lot of these apps are being marketed to people who are in distress in terms of mental health. For example, Replica provides helps with anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other conditions. So we are talking here a lot about the vulnerable group of people, and what the app offers as a service against it is not clear. Like, it doesn't go through any kind of healthcare practitioner check. Yeah, something that we would expect from a product that targets vulnerable group of people. On a societal level, we're talking about having a certain service that gets into heads directly of millions of users, mainly male 30 plus based in United States of America. So if someone takes control, like just hypothetically, if someone takes control of this, if someone can control what messages this AI chatbot forwards to these people, if someone would like to use it for reasons that other mainstream technologies are used for extensively now, so political disinformation, misinformation, creating hate in the space. So if that would happen, then we are seeing a very powerful tool as well.
Earlier you said that the collected data could be used by third parties, but did you also see that the chatbot is using that data itself to maybe use it commercially, to sell you something in the chat, or ideologically to influence your political position?
I didn't use the app extensive enough to see that it would influence my political decision. I also didn't see so far stories of this happening, but hypothetically I can see, like, why not? In today's world, talking about usage of data, yes, we do see trackers that send data in real time to advertisers.
And the advertisement is presented to me in the app, or will I see it when I open my browser the next time?
Yeah, as always with online advertisement, it gets shared with certain advertisement networks, and then it can pop up in non-obvious ways anywhere. In your search results, in the banners that you see, in the content that you get on Instagram. Nowadays, advertisement works in a way that it's not directly identifiable, which makes it often question if we see some ad. Oh, is it based on what I just talked about yesterday? Did they read my mind? Or something like this.
Normally, when you deal with vulnerable groups or sick people, you have to be professionally trained. You have to be a licensed doctor or a pharmacist, a therapist. When we have AI chatbots or love bots that are especially targeted at those groups, do you think there has to be some sort of licensing or legal framework?
Yeah, so before that, I also did 2 research studies into mental health apps, 2022 and 2023. And while doing it, speaking with a representative of the non-profits that work specifically in this space of mental health technology, and we saw rise of AI chatbots there. The professionals in the field, they advocate for certain licensing. It is partly happening in a way that insurances choose to work with certain apps that have subsequently certain vouching from mental health professionals and also security and privacy professionals. I did see some specifically designed chatbots to help with certain mental health conditions that have strong privacy stance, that have strong encryption and other security layers on them, and that also are designed from the start with mental health practitioners. But these apps are not the mainstream, and these are not the ones that I reviewed now as part of AI relationship chatbots. So what I saw with AI relationship with chatbots is that you have AI girlfriend or boyfriend, and on top of being this, they can sometimes be your counselor or be your therapist, but this feature is not being licensed or being checked by actual practitioners, so we have certain risks there.
So I think at this point we have a pretty good overview of the results of your research. You reviewed 11 AI services. Did you do some kind of ranking? Are there more or less preferable apps that you took a look at?
I didn't do specific ranking, but I would say none of those 11 that I looked at are recommended. They are all non-recommended, mainly because of the security issues and because of the AI untransparency that's there. Also data use. So 10 out of 11 apps say that they can share or sell data all by one app. And all by one app have some security issues out there. And that's kind of alarming.
Okay. On a more positive note, at the end, are there problems that can be dealt with or solved by AI love bots, maybe such as loneliness or learning to start a relationship?
Yeah, that's again like a very psychological question. I can imagine that the idea itself might be helpful to people who are dealing with loneliness, and we see it a lot in sci-fi. Yeah, we watched movies such as Her or Blade Runner 2049, in which certain entity out there was really helpful to the main hero. But yeah, we will see. We will see. It would be lovely to know that people can relate to technology in a way that's helpful. But now we see that any mainstream, any new piece of technology like that, when it becomes mainstream, the logic of money, basically of earning money prevails, and we see how some good ideas, such as Facebook initially, right, or Google advertisement, with time got more and more problematic.
Let's say one of these companies would open up a board for ethics and data security and would say, Misha Rykov seems to be an expert on it. Let's have him on the board. What would be your recommendations? How could these apps get more secure, get more ethical? What would you do?
Yeah, so good start would be to make sure that they have strong security features. Then the next one would be to write clear, transparent, and compliant privacy documentation, actually act upon it and redesign the product so that it has privacy at its heart from the start. And then when we're talking about all the psychological and mental health elements to it, they should consult professionals and redesign those to minimize harms. And then they would have to also deal with some issues such as minors using the apps and misusing the apps, to prevent stories such as what happened with the 14-year-old teenager who got in trouble after using, and who was dead after using this character AI chatbot.
Assuming that these regulations would work, can you see that there might be a positive impact of AI chatbots on the interpersonal behavior or the well-being of people in our society?
It is difficult to say. On one hand, I can see how they can sometimes help vulnerable group of people, right? And replace otherwise expensive or inaccessible services or inaccessible relationships in this case. But also I wonder if interacting a lot with addictive digital entity can in any way help to get back and interact with real humans out there.
So in the future, AI lovebots might be great companions, but at the moment they seem to be false friends. And that's the end of our show today. We thank Misha Rykov for taking time to speak with us, and we wish you a pleasant day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Der digitale Espresso ist ein Podcast des Katholisch-Sozialen Instituts in Siegburg. Aufnahme und Ton Markus Sager. Schnitt Said Suma. Moderation André Schröder und Andreas Menne. Musik René Gefor-Karagi. Unser besonderer Dank gilt allen Interviewpartnerinnen und Interviewpartnern. Alle Infos zum Podcast finden Sie auf www.digitaleespresso.de.